Codename Kids Next Door is a great show, still one of my favorite Cartoon Network series I've covered on this channel. It might be a show all about fighting against the dangers of growing up, bowing out by pleading its viewers to stay young, but it ironically matured at a remarkably natural pace. Each of the 6 seasons built on the last in the right ways most of the time, but I wouldn't have it any other way. The one and only constant throughout the entire run was a story arc that saw the same birthday repeat over and over again. This is the C.A.K.E.D saga. All 6 seasons of Kids Next Door have exactly one episode about the delightful children from down the lane and farther planning an enormous birthday party for the Delightfuls that Sector V have to stop. It's a fight for the greatest day of every child's life, their birthday, to be considered equally important amongst individuals. And it's a fight that never truly ends, from the first episode to the finale. It's a constant issue to be dealt with, but someone has to. Sorry for getting so political just there, but I wanted to go back through each episode of the C.A.K.E.D saga and explore how Kids Next Door evolved through just 6 episodes. The finale movie, Operation Interviews, is technically the 7th chapter, but I'll be skipping over that because it technically isn't all about the birthday party. It's about so much more. With that, let's go back to the beginning.
Salmonella Fitzgerald!
Not that far. After the 2 pilots, Operation C.A.K.E.D is usually considered the official starting point of the Kids Next Door canon, and for all intents and purposes, it gets the show off to an alright start, nearly 2 months after it premiered. The Delightfuls are having a boring, controlling birthday party, then the Kids Next Door swoop in to spoil it. I don't know if they needed all those skunk mustard gas bombs to scare off the innocent party victims, but there's more work to be done yet.
Status report, number 5.
As per Operation C.A.K.E.D, party guests evacuated, C.A.K.E.D located, and party clown neutralized.
The Delightful's secret weapon is soon introduced, a sweet little girl called Laura who loves party games. Just don't upset her or else she hulks out.
Party games, now!
This episode's fine all around, but pretty rough around the edges. The character animation is smooth, but still pretty thick and basic. The backgrounds aren't as detailed as you're used to, and it even seems like the logo hasn't been finalized at this point. They still use the placeholder logo from the pilot for scene transitions. The operative that did the most for me was number 2. Nothing. That and them using their army of hamsters to escape was a cute way to end the episode. There isn't much to say here about one of the only 7-minute episodes. Season 1 did a lot for the show, but it's much harder to go back to than the others. Come Season 2 and the second C.A.K.E.D mission, and a lot of improvements are noticeable from the get-go. The backgrounds are more vibrant, and the Delightful's villainy is more clearly telegraphed, with all the party guests being tied up and their mean diatribe. A common complaint viewers had with the first season was that it was initially hard to tell if the kids next door were supposed to be the heroes, so increasing the threat of their adversaries goes a long way in better telegraphing that their intentions are just. That and they bounce off each other more organically here, like they have some history going on missions together.
This oughta take the cake. Hey, what'd you do that for? That was a cool line.
But this is only the beginning. A bigger game is being played here. As deep as number 1 digs into the mission, the Delightfuls are always one step ahead of him. And shockingly enough, they've got Lizzie involved. Shocking in the sense of, it's a Lizzie episode, batten down the hatches, but we get a glimpse at how their schemes are affecting the rest of the normal kid world. They've held thousands of kids hostage at a stadium to see the kids next door lose against their monster of a cake this year, but after a quick action scene, where Lizzie manages to redeem herself as an added bonus, the day is saved and everyone in the stadium gets a piece of cake. I'll always love this episode for how cathartic the ending is. It feels like a massive victory over Snob Kind, with nearly all the innocent kids and heroes being showered in frosty goodness. Keyword, nearly.
I have to go!
C.A.K.E.D 2 improved on the first in every sense, with better action, better character writing, and by making its themes much clearer. Moving forward another season, as the show takes on a darker turn with episodes like Operation Archive and Operation Lockdown, it's surprising to see the C.A.K.E.D this year is more lighthearted. Sector V's planning how to take down the Delightful's cake yet again, and number 2 suggests eggs. Seems legit. Only problem, besides having to keep them in number 1's room, they're free-range eggs. The treehouse is flooded with chicks, and they all seem to think number 1 is their mother, much to 3's amusement. but taking care of newborns is always grosser than it seems. This is a pretty gross episode, not bad at all, just you wouldn't want it to be smell-o-vision compatible. At least the chicks provide a cute complication for number 1, as well as assistance once things get too dire. Sector V almost lose the battle, against a less sticky threat no less, when the chicks transform into a mech suit. If only real chicks could do that.
Check it out, number 1's a chick magnet. Oh, just stop it.
A battle occurs, number 1 wins, and then the chicks do their business in the cake.
So that's why this year, we're going to let you eat the whole cake all by yourselves.
This bit is so long and awkward, Sector V tricking the Delightfuls into digging in, and every other kid in the world seeing them eat it. Would you believe me if I told you this wasn't the most disgusting ending this season? Okay, you would. In terms of scope and action, this is a step back from C.A.K.E.D 2, make no mistake. Its focus is more on the comedic possibilities a cute pack of chicks can bring to the Sector V dynamic, and one of their trademark missions. It's fine in that regard, a nice little breather even, because from here on out, the K.A.K.E.Ds are only going to get ever more action-packed. Another season passes, and another birthday party is prepared. Coincidentally, on the same day the kids next door are going to be off at the races. A tube race has got everyone in a competitive mood, and even Sector V at each other's throats. Number 2 is sure his prized hand-me-down tube Betsy will win this year, while Force Hubris is just waiting to be popped. The character writing's gotten so good, man. Everyone's got a reason or reaction to the tube race, while number 1's just got his suspicions regarding what the Delightfuls could possibly be up to on their big day. At least until they send a projection offering the cake as a prize. And so a day passes and we get one of the most colourful set pieces of the entire show, with all the kids in town and all their tubes raring to go. Still not as colourful as this snarky commentator. And yet, number 2 still doesn't feel like replacing or upgrading Betsy. It holds too much value to him.
My dad taught me a word that the Germans use that describes just what this race is about, and that word is Farfig-Tubin.
Good for you. The good thing is, it's soon impossible for him to come in dead last this year, since number 4 gets stranded on top of Bikini Bottom for the rest of the race. The rest of Sector V have fun on the stream, with number 3 chatting with the kid.
You know, the Spanish word for tube is el tubo.
And 1 and 5 having a friendly competition before Tommy comes around to bother them. Everything seems hunky-dory, even though this race is way too long for 10-year-olds without their parents getting worried. But when was the last time reality mattered in this show? I mean, look at this plot twist. The tube race gets hijacked by Father, who's adding all the contestants to his biggest cake yet. I still can't believe we've reached implied cannibalism, but hey, this is the first caking to feature Father, so that's a big plus.
You know, I love baking. Why, it's more than a hobby, actually.
And you can't have a birthday party without some surprises. It just so happens this one is incredibly morbid. But number 2 is able to save the day with Betsy and her far-fetched Farfig-Tubin magic, only after learning this mind-blowing plot twist.
My dad won Tubathon every year with her. Ha!
Is that what he told you? Why, your dad came in last place every year!
So it's a little disappointing that after everything he's gone through, number 2 hasn't won the race. Nearly everyone else apart from him has tied, but he's more of a hero than a winner today, and as he says,
There's always next year.
And the year after that, and that's it. This is notably the first half-hour caking they ever put out, making it feel more like an event. I guess it's fitting that they themed it around an in-universe event. Sector V, Tommy, Father, and the Delightfuls are all involved, but they can go bigger, I just know it. And then, in Season 5, they did. What can I say about this cold open? It's breathtaking. A tracking shot from a battlefield to a mansion to a kitchen, and then an explosion of cake. And it doesn't take long for the story behind this to be explained. This was the kids next door in the 1800s, trying to steal the birthday cake recipe from the annoyingly cute triplets who lived upon the hill. It took so long to save everyone that they had to be immediately decommissioned, but the mysterious number 19th century was never found. Until today, that is. Some things haven't changed in the kids next door, but others certainly have, as once he's revived, number 19th century infuriates the girls with his more antiquated views on gender.
You were frozen in an explosion. Not that.
When did they let girls into the kids next door?
I'm just glad he had no other objections to number 5 being there. Think about it for a second and you'll be glad too. But he isn't the only thing they have to worry about. The Delightfuls' cake this time is so massive that it's practically a spaceship made of ice cream cake, or rather a Death Star because they fill it with Star Wars references. This is all good fun and builds upon the increasingly absurd cakes we've gotten over the seasons, while providing a vibrant new location to explore, but how are 5 children supposed to eat all of this? It's good they don't focus on them that much this year, giving more time to Father as the main antagonist. It was a stroke of genius to turn his fiery rage against him, with it raising the temperature of the cake as it goes on, and he gets in on one of the funniest scenes of the series, him and 86 just stopping to goss about number 19th century.
He's like never seen cars and stuff. Go on, ask him something.
Say, 19th century kid, you want to watch a cartoon on the television?
Maurice LaMarche, please never leave us. In general, this episode is just brimming with great jokes. Number 4 gets sidelined unfortunately / thankfully, but he gets to reap the benefits in the end when all the cake crashes down on Earth. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The point is, this exchange that reveals how the Delightfuls can have so many 10th birthdays is great.
But what about the delightful children's cake?
You're right, number 4. We only get one shot at this 5 times a year.
The Star Wars references extending to number 1 and Father having a birthday cake lightsaber battle is too perfect. But the most intriguing gag is that for as bothersome as he is, number 86 ends up falling in love with number 19th century. Guess how long it'll last? Yeah, 20 minutes. Caked 5 is a Greek tragedy too. Number 19th century knows a secret recipe that KND and Father have spent years trying to rediscover, but the last physical remnant of it is smothered by ice cream cake. And being 210 years old now, he's gotta be decommissioned and forget the recipe. Lost Media Wiki, you know what to do. Don't actually. This is a lot of people's favorite caking, and it's definitely one of my favorite episodes of what I otherwise thought was a pretty shaky 5th year personally. But you know what I think? The best is yet to come. In lieu of a traditional caking, Operation 6 expands upon another consumption conundrum the KND continuously counter, soda prohibition. Number 2 remains our heroic smuggler, accompanied here by number 3 and 6. Remember that skunk all the way back in season 1? That was then hit by a car in season 3? Well, he's tagging along to assist number 2's mission to smuggle soda for this fair maiden Marybeth's birthday party. Only he and number 3 bicker all the way there.
Number 3, I need you to start the truck now! I thought you said girls can't drive!
Fine, I'm sorry. Would you come on the mission with me?
And Bradley?
Yes, Bradley too!
I'd have to run home and get my road rage rainbow monkey.
Just start the truck!
A heist quickly ensues as Mr. Fizz is let in on their quest, and with a massive tanker of soda obviously being very fragile, it turns into Mad Max crossed with speed, crossed with underage drinking and driving. God, I love the 90s. For me, what makes this such a great episode is the thrill of the chase, complemented well with 2 and 3's chemistry. By this point, the show and fans were content with pairing the Lucky Sevens, but I'm happy that with this little slot in the final season, they squeezed some great interactions out of these two to see what could happen. Dynamite happens. And look how far the animations come. Why not? Never heard of it. What also separates this from the previous K-Kings is that the kids next door aren't successful at all. The soda tanker turns out to have a single little cake in it, and Marybeth reveals she duped number 2 for a chance of the Delightfuls to share it with her. It was a caking this entire time, in the first instance where the Delightfuls win, the bittersweet tone of season 6 creeping into the once uplifting annual tradition. Things are getting more serious and peculiar, and while this episode doesn't play into the year's story arc, it still tells you what's going on this year in its own way. And that's the best way to think of the Caked saga. They're checkpoints, from the beginning to the end of the series, laying out its progression from silly child secret agent shenanigans to an intergalactic battle for the sanctity and enthusiasm of childhood. I guess that even in the world of TV, there's an importance to annual traditions. Great time of year to bring this up, right? If we could all stop together and reflect on who we were and who we are now, and celebrate our journeys no matter how much time passes, I think we'll keep getting a little wiser and a little friendlier, and that's always going to lead to great things. Happy 20th birthday, Codename Kids Next Door. We stayed young.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
B. Say hello. Close enough.